Today, we're joined by poet, author, and speaker Peter Gunn, a modern voice reimagining epic poetry, blending myth, fantasy, and personal resilience. Stay tuned as we dive into his journey and his new works in the music industry. Let's get into it. This program is part of the Scene Projects Podcast Network. The Scene Project features interviews with independent musicians, comedians, and artists from across the Midwest. Become part of our community and support local art wherever you are. Well, welcome into a very exciting episode of The Scene. I'm your host, Bubba Startz, and with me today is Peter Gunn. Welcome to the show, brother.
Thank you for having me, Bubba. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, well, I'm excited. Just reading your bio today and having a chance to, check out the website. An interesting fella you are. So we're going to get into it. Before we get into the new music and everything, I'd love for you to give a little backstory, and the floor is yours, sir.
Well, I've been called a lot of things because I have my hand in a lot of avenues. I've been called a polymath. I've been called a Renaissance man, but I like to consider myself just being a poet because if you look at everything I do, it has basic roots in poetry. My writing, my music, even my speaking. I've done 10, 15-minute talks, all rhyme from beginning to end. So poetry is where I come from, is where I base myself, and that's why I consider myself to be a poet first and foremost. I'm a Midwestern kid. I came from a very humble background, but I was also very blessed. The thing about me that makes me a lot different than a lot of other creators is when I was 7 years old, I had an NDE with an angel that told me my job wasn't done. I had to come back. And ever since then, I've been very connected, and I'll get downloads. I'll get actual songs, come through from the other side, and it's one of those things where I've just learned to deal with it. And I'd say about 80% of the stuff that I put out is channeled. So it's partially me, but not all me. And if you listen to the album, you'll see that the message that it's trying to convey is very much of a positive, helpful for humanity as well.
Incredible stuff. I'm a songwriter myself, and I talk a lot about it, that those strikes of inspiration, I'm merely an antenna for that. So you talk about a download, coming from the other side, pulling it from the ether, if you will, and just being a conduit for that song is what I've always tried to do. And no doubt that, my own personal lived experience informs some of that as well, which is just impossible as a creative to not influence that. But yeah, love it. And as someone who's written, poetry and songs since I was, since my first writing classes in grade school, really, I respect and appreciate what you do. Incredible. You said Midwestern kid. Where'd you grow up, Peter?
Wisconsin.
Okay. Well, I live here in rural South Dakota. I got family around the Black River Falls area. They're out in Taylor, Wisconsin. And we used to take trips up when we lived in the Chicago area. That's where my family's originally from, all the way up to Manitowish Waters, close to the UP there. So love the state of Wisconsin, except Green Bay. And other than that, and I love getting to talk with other Midwestern creatives.
I often joke that they kicked me out of Wisconsin because I don't drink. So I don't, there's no beer, and I don't swear. I don't spend out, late nights partying, because we're known for having a bar in every corner, and it just wasn't me. Yeah.
And if you're lactose intolerant, you hit the trifecta there.
Yeah.
Amazing. Well, I mean, there's so much that we could get into. I know that you've been working on some music stuff, but you have these books and these other creative works. Does the music tie in to some of the other creative works, or is it a separate entity altogether?
Well, basically, underlying in everything I do is to help uplift humanity. Okay, so there's an underlying message, whether it's the story, okay, to bring the feminine into the hero's journey, like the Amazons. The Kreppy's Curse to help young girls understand that they can take an active role not only in their lives but in their destiny. And then, of course, the Angelics with the album to help understand humanity, that they can fight back and they have a choice.
I love it. My wife is my superhero. A little backstory on my wife, Danielle. When we met, she had already completed college and had a 4-year degree. And in the last year and a half or so, she took on a new role, leaving the business world and the manual labor world to work at our local elementary school as a paraprofessional. Now, just 2 years later, she is teaching at the school as a special education teacher. She is on an advanced teacher permit through a program called the Teacher Apprentice Program here from the state of South Dakota through Dakota State University. So I love that you're empowering young people and giving them a vision of a brighter future. I think especially with the way it's really been more like 10 or 15 years, but especially the last 5 years, there hasn't been a lot of hope delivered. There's been a lot of chaos and a lot of fear and hate that has been spread, but not a lot of hope, love that has entered the world through one way or another. And I think at this point, you're not going to get it from the world as we know it. It has to come from somewhere else.
Yeah. Well, I always say that the first step for help has to come from you. You have to pick up your weight, bear your cross, so to speak, and take accountability for yourself first. God helps those who help themselves.
Taking accountability is something that I think a lot of people can learn from. I myself, in my experience as a once incarcerated individual, I did 2 years for, distributing marijuana, which now I have a license where I could grow or smoke or buy as much as I would want to, more than that they had caught me with. But I ran away, right? I ran away from that. And I actually lived in Mexico for a year, Peter. And it took me some hard conversations with myself and looking at my children and going that they had not asked for this life on the run and being in this. And I had to take accountability for my actions, whether I thought it was right what I was being prosecuted for or not, that I had to go and to pay the piper, so to speak, so that I could build a better life for my children. And here we are now, 10 years removed from that, and 8 years removed from prison and off of parole now, and now able to turn around and to serve our community. My wife is not only a teacher at the school, but we also have a program supporting young athletes at the school as well with our podcast. So it's awesome. Nice to be on the other side of that now. But I'm never afraid to share that story because I think it informs a lot of who I am as a man and as a human being, that I did take my accountability. Yes, I made mistakes, but I have learned from those mistakes, and I accept that they made me who I am today. And taking that accountability was a huge step in that process.
Yeah, well, that's one of the first steps you want to look at is if someone comes to you for help, are they willing to take the steps themselves? Because so many people have a kind, gentle heart, and they'll take on their load, unfortunately, and you can't do that. Yeah, because it will bring you down. But it takes a special kind of person to actually want to do that, because so many people out there are very cutthroat, and all about themselves.
Well, and I think in this day and age, it's very easy to shift the blame. You can shift the blame to society or your parents, which I did for a long time, right? Not a great upbringing. And it was very easy for me to just be an angry young man and to blame everyone else for the poor decisions that I was making. And I think we get even more of especially in this digital age where we can take to Facebook and find people that will back up our bullshit, to speak. You don't cuss, but I do. And will allow us to justify our poor behavior. And it really starts with a gentleman that I listen to a lot, Andy Frisella, and something he says all the time is that, personal excellence is the ultimate rebellion. And it starts with looking in the mirror, taking accountability, whether it's problems with your weight or it's problems with your mental health or the situation that you're in. You have to be able to look in the mirror and to speak to yourself honestly.
Yeah. I oftentimes will direct people to the map of consciousness. I don't know if you're familiar with Dr.
Yeah, I'm sorry I laughed, but it's on my book list sitting right in front of me on my wall. I have yet to buy it and read it, but I think that was a sign or a download that I better get to it.
Well, if you look at the map of consciousness, and anyone could do a Google and look at it and just, start to read it, and then also that I say bring up Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and then see that you could superimpose them on each other, and then start to understand that people speak different languages in this world. Because when you're down 85%, if you look at the map of consciousness, 85% or more of people are at or below 200. So they're down in the lower half. So to consciously want to rise up is not only a very rare thing, but then learn that you're going to speak a different language when you're up here. A person down here that's wronged is going to want to fight, take revenge. Person that's up here is going to turn the other cheek, walk away, and pray for that person. So you speak two different languages.
Do you find it to sometimes be a lonely place in that upper level of consciousness?
Oh, yeah. People don't understand it. They look at you like a weirdo, especially if they see a situation where would initiate a fight. There's okay, great. This guy's going to fight. Like, no, I'll walk away. And people don't understand, like, where are you coming from? You're always that odd man out, but you get used to it. Yeah.
I know you've been getting a little bit of pushback with your music because of how it was produced.
Yes.
I'm not here to fight you on it. I think any way that we can express ourselves is a beautiful thing. Even being someone who's in the commercial business of music, most of the money that I make comes from performing live. And I don't feel like AI, at least to this point, is recreating that. I mean, they've been lip syncing over songs since the Milli Vanilli days. So
yes, I don't see why people. I often think about that. Yes.
And maybe I'm just a little bit older than most people out there nowadays, but talk a little bit about the music and what kind of informed these songs and this new album.
Well, when you're an entrepreneur, you're always looking to reinvent yourself, rebrand yourself, and go to the next level. And that's what I did when I initially started. Is I had a good friend, Andrea Giordani. She's my producer / director, and she's doing my audiobook. And we're going to make it sound like a movie. And then I figured, I'm going to get a band and start a soundtrack, because it will accompany, the new audiobook. And that's how this whole thing started, where I found a band online, and then he had other friends, and then he brought in other guys. All of a sudden, before I knew, it was the four of us, and we decided to go out on our own and make our first album. So, we've come across some criticism because they're in Germany. There's Leo, he's in Dusseldorf. There's Max, he's in Munich, and I think Ellis is in Berlin. And we're doing a lot of recording via Zoom, and we're doing whatever we can to make it work and put out the best product we can. So that means using AI to clean up the music, because via Zoom you get a lot of hisses and pops and stuff like that. So we'll do whatever we can to make the best possible product to be able to put out there for people.
Oh, so you're not even prompting the AI to create the music. You guys are playing instruments and creating the music, and then just using AI to create.
But we're using AI to change our voices as well, though. Oh, yes, we're using AI to change our voices as well. Yeah.
We've been using auto-tune. I mean, Lil Wayne got famous for auto-tune. Come on now. Let's pull back. So the fact you're getting any pushback now it ticks me off a little bit, Peter. I'm not at that upper level of consciousness like you. I still allow myself to get a little angry sometimes. It served me well to this point. Maybe one day I will grow past that and shed that weight as well.
You never consciously, unless you're like Jesus Christ and you just elevate. It's an up and down process. It's just a matter of being aware. Wait a minute, I'm going down, so I'm going to have to do something to get myself up. Yeah.
Great advice. Well, I haven't got a chance to listen to the music yet, but I would love to have you on some of our other shows. We have a couple other shows on the network, one of them called Love Noise. We do every Wednesday, actually, which we are recording this on a Wednesday morning, live on YouTube at 9 p.m. Central, we take the music, we bring a couple of the songs on, we have you on with us, and we get to talk about the songs specifically. So I like to leave those fresh. So anybody who's kind of bringing me music, I don't like to do necessarily a lot of homework, because if they ever get the chance to come on Love Noise, I like that to be my first listen. I like to give an honest first impression and feedback of the song. So Peter, you're more than welcome if you'd be so inclined to come on and share your music with us sometime, and to let us hear what you guys have been working on. I think it's awesome. I think it's great that you guys are not only, well, because you could track it. You could track the stuff and everybody could do it independently on their own and to voice over. I love that you're kind of creating on Zoom all together still, which obviously is going to have issues. You're going to have lag times. You are on other opposite sides of the planet communicating through, through the beauty of the internet. What an incredible experience that is. How did you meet these gentlemen in Germany?
Well, there's a website called Upwork, and you go there to, you could find musicians on there. You could find producers. You could find anything an entrepreneur needs for his business. You could find on there. And that's why I started looking on Upwork, and that's where I first met Leo. And he knew these other guys, and he brought them on. And then we initially did 10 songs for the audiobooks, and then it worked out so well that they said, hey, let's do an album together. So we decided to join up, make ourselves a band and call ourselves the Angelics, which is a tip of the hat to my angel and my NDE, and go from there.
Incredible. And I have another show called Get Better Together. I kind of glossed over the near-death experience, because obviously that would become a much longer conversation. And I promised you I'd have you out of here in about 20 minutes today, as is typical for the format of this show specifically. But Peter, I think we could come back and have plenty of long conversations and really dig in deep to some of this stuff. I would love to have you back if you would grace us with your presence again. Yeah, well, that'd be fantastic. Before I let you go today, go ahead and plug everything that you have. I know you have a website and where people can find the music.
You can go to my website at www.petergunn.net, and you can check out our album. It's called Hazing Hades, and the name of the band is called the Angelics, and it's on all current platforms for music.
I love it. Well, Peter, thanks for taking some time for me today. Looking forward to speaking with you again. Thank you for being part of the scene.
Oh, thank you for having me on. It was a pleasure.